The year was 1972. The air in the clandestine depths of Langley, Virginia was thick with the scent of stale coffee and classified documents. In a room devoid of natural light, Dr. Elias Thorne, a man whose life was a tapestry woven with quantum physics and government secrets, stared at the file on his desk. Its cover, stamped "Top Secret, Eyes Only," seemed to throb with an unspoken weight. For 50 years, the contents of this file had been a ghost in the machine of American intelligence, a whisper in the echoing halls of power, a case so utterly improbable that even the most hardened analysts dismissed it as myth. Yet here it was, undeniable proof, staring back at Thorne from beneath the official seal. The file detailed Project Chronos and the unthinkable truth within. They had found a time traveler, not a theoretical construct, not a subject for a philosophical debate, but a living, breathing human being plucked from the future and deposited inexplicably into their present. The implications were not merely strategic, they were existential. The world as they knew it was about to be irrevocably changed by the silent testimony of a man who claimed he had seen tomorrow. The story, as it unfolded in the meticulously kept logs and grainy photographs within that file, began far more innocently, or so it seemed at the time. It started in the humid summer of 1922 in a forgotten corner of rural Maryland, where a solitary figure appeared out of thin air. No one saw him arrive. He was simply there, found by a bewildered farmer tending his fields. The man, disoriented and speaking a strange, melodic language no one understood, wore clothes that were utterly alien to the era, sleek, fit-forming garments woven from an unknown synthetic material that shimmered subtly in the sunlight. His possessions were equally baffling. A small, smooth device that glowed with an internal light of unknown composition. And the metallic tablet, when finally deciphered with Kael's help, turned out to be a navigation log, charting coordinates and temporal fluctuations that, when extrapolated, pointed directly to his claimed future. The word eventually reached the nascent intelligence community, a loose network of former Pinkertons, military intelligence officers, and academics whose collective mandate was still being defined. The initial reports were met with skepticism, then curiosity, and finally, a chilling sense of urgency. A team was dispatched from Washington, led by a brilliant, if eccentric, linguist named Dr. Aris Thorne, Elias's grandfather. Aris, fluent in dozens of languages, found himself utterly stumped. The man's language, which he began to refer to as Chronosian, had no discernible roots in any known human tongue, ancient or modern. It was structurally complex, phonetically unique, and maddeningly consistent. Yet through a painstaking process of observation, context, and sheer human ingenuity, Aris began to crack the code. He discovered the man's name was Kael, and Kael, with halting, newly acquired English, began to tell his story. A story that, if true, would rewrite every known law of physics and history. Kael claimed he was from the year 2072. He spoke of a world transformed by technology beyond 1922's wildest dreams. Flying vehicles, global communication networks, and a unified world government. He spoke of a catastrophic event, a Great Sundering, that had reshaped the continents and forced humanity to redefine its very existence. His presence in 1922, he explained, was an accident. He was a chrononaut, part of a scientific expedition attempting to observe ancient atmospheric conditions in the early 21st century. A sudden temporal anomaly, a chronal vortex, had ripped through their timeline, tearing his craft apart and throwing him backwards, not by decades, but by a full century. His mission, he insisted, was to repair his temporal displacement unit and return home, though he knew the chances were astronomically slim. The early days of Project Chronos were characterized by intense scientific scrutiny and almost a desperate attempt to rationalize the impossible. Physicists, initially brought in to debunk Kael's claims, found themselves increasingly bewildered by the sophisticated physics he casually referenced. He described theories of space-time that were decades ahead of even Einstein's most advanced thoughts at the time. He spoke of dark matter, quantum entanglement, and wormholes as if they were common knowledge. The small device he carried, when examined under the crude instruments of the era, displayed properties that defied all understanding. It seemed to draw energy from nothing, maintaining a stable internal field of unknown composition. The metallic tablet, when finally deciphered with Kael's help, turned out to be a navigation log, charting coordinates and temporal fluctuations that, when extrapolated, pointed directly to his claimed future. The implications were profound. If Kael was truly from the future, then history was not a fixed, linear path. It was a canvas that could be altered, a river whose course could be diverted. The government, realizing the immense strategic advantage such knowledge could bestow, moved swiftly to classify the entire project at the highest level. Kael was no longer just a scientific anomaly. He was a living, breathing intelligence asset, a walking encyclopedia of tomorrow. He was relocated to a heavily guarded facility in a remote part of Nevada, a place that would later become synonymous with other equally enigmatic government secrets. Life for Kael in the 1920s and 30s was a strange blend of intense interrogation and quiet observation. He was treated with a mixture of awe, fear, and scientific curiosity. While his knowledge of future technologies and geopolitical shifts was invaluable, his understanding of the past was ironically limited. His education in 2072 focused on the distant past, not the immediate preceding century. He knew about major world wars and technological leaps, but the nuances of historical figures, cultural shifts, and societal structures of the early 20th century were often alien to him. This created a peculiar dynamic. He could predict the invention of the atomic bomb with terrifying accuracy, but he struggled to understand the concept of racial segregation or the economic anxieties of the Great Depression. One of the most significant revelations came during Kael's early debriefings with Dr. Eris Thorne. Kael detailed a future where geopolitical power had shifted dramatically. He spoke of the rise and fall of empires, the emergence of new global superpowers, and the eventual devastating global conflicts that would lead to the Great Sundering. He provided chillingly accurate details about World War II, decades before it began, describing the rise of fascism, the Blitzkrieg, and the eventual development of nuclear weapons. His predictions, initially dismissed as fantastical ramblings, began to materialize with terrifying precision. The stock market crash of 1929, the rise of Hitler, the invasion of Poland. Kael had hinted at them all, sometimes in cryptic phrases, sometimes with direct, though often disbelieved, warnings. The government, particularly the emerging Office of Strategic Services, OSS, in the lead-up to World War II, found itself in an impossible ethical dilemma. They possessed knowledge that could prevent unimaginable suffering, yet acting on it directly risked altering the timeline in unforeseen ways, potentially erasing their own present or creating an even worse future. The decision was made to use Kael's information subtly, indirectly, to gain strategic advantages without overtly interfering with the grand sweep of history. This led to discrete investments in emerging technologies Kael hinted at, the strategic positioning of intelligence assets in key regions, and a heightened awareness of impending threats. The information Kael provided was meticulously cross-referenced, analyzed, and stored in a series of ever-growing classified archives, forming the backbone of what would eventually become the CIA's most impenetrable secret. Kael's emotional state throughout this period was a complex tapestry of resignation, despair, and an underlying scientific curiosity. He was a man out of time, a ghost haunting a past that was his future. He missed his family, his friends, his own era. He spoke of the shimmering cities of 2072, the advanced medical science that had eradicated most diseases, and the philosophical advancements that had, for a time, brought humanity to a new age of enlightenment. Yet he also spoke of the fragility of that future, the constant threat of environmental collapse, and the deep-seated societal divisions that simmered beneath the surface of their technological utopia. He warned of the dangers of unchecked technological progress without corresponding ethical development, a message that resonated deeply with some of the more far-sighted officials in Project Chronos. As the years passed, Kael aged, albeit slowly. His physiology, he explained, was subtly different due to the temporal displacement, granting him a slightly extended lifespan. He became a fixture in the clandestine world, a silent oracle whose pronouncements shaped the decisions of presidents and generals. He witnessed the rise of the Cold War, the space race, and the dawn of the digital age, often with a detached, almost melancholic understanding. He saw the world he had left behind slowly being built around him, one technological marvel at a time. He saw the prophecies he had made come true, sometimes with devastating consequences, sometimes with inspiring triumphs. The project continued under various code names, with an ever-changing roster of scientists, linguists, and intelligence officers. Each new generation of handlers wrestled with the same profound questions. How much was too much to know? How could they leverage Kael's knowledge without corrupting the timeline? And what ultimately was their responsibility to this man who had sacrificed everything for science and, by accident, found himself trapped in a past that was not his own? The ethical quandaries were immense, and the debates within the project were fierce and often unresolved. Dr. Eris Thorne, Kael's primary interlocutor, and in many ways his only friend in this alien century, dedicated his life to understanding Kael and his future. He chronicled every detail, every nuanced prediction, every philosophical insight. Eris saw Kael not just as an asset, but as a profound testament to humanity's future potential and its enduring struggles. He believed Kael's accidental arrival was a warning, a chance for humanity to course correct before the Great Sundering, an event Kael spoke of with increasing dread as his own past, their future, approached. The Great Sundering, Kael explained in his later years, was not a single cataclysmic event, but a series of interconnected environmental, social, and technological crises that spiraled into a global collapse. He described a world ravaged by climate change, resource wars, and pandemics, forcing humanity to the brink of extinction before a painful, slow recovery began. His generation, the one he was trying to return to, was the first to truly understand the lessons of the Sundering, dedicated to rebuilding a more sustainable and equitable world. His temporal mission, he clarified, was part of a larger scientific effort to understand the precise atmospheric conditions that had triggered the initial environmental domino effect in the early 21st century. As the 1960s gave way to the 1970s, Kael's health began to decline. The temporal displacement, combined with the stresses of living out of his natural time, was finally taking its toll. He had lived far longer than any human of the 20th century could have, a testament to his future physiology, but even that had its limits. His final days were spent dictating the last fragments of his knowledge, sharing every remaining detail he could recall about the future, about the scientific advancements, the societal structures, and the enduring challenges humanity would face. He expressed a profound hope that his unwilling sacrifice would serve a purpose, that the information he had provided would help prevent the catastrophes he had lived through. His death in 1972 was a quiet affair, shrouded in the deepest secrecy. There was no public obituary, no grave marker. He was simply gone, leaving behind a legacy of classified documents, technological blueprints, and chilling prophecies that would continue to shape the trajectory of American intelligence for decades to come.
And that brings us back to Dr. Elias Thorne. In 1972, staring at the completed file of Project Chronos. His grandfather, Aris, had passed away years ago, leaving Elias with a final, cryptic instruction. When the time is right, Elias, the full truth of Project Chronos must be revealed, but only to those who possess the wisdom to wield it responsibly. Humanity deserves to know its future, for better or worse. Elias, a physicist of equal brilliance to his grandfather, had inherited not only the Thorne name, but also the guardianship of Kael's legacy. He understood the immense responsibility that now rested on his shoulders. The 50 years of classification had been necessary, a period of careful integration of Kael's information without causing panic or inadvertently fulfilling self-destructive prophecies. But now, with the world teetering on the edge of environmental crisis, with global tensions rising, and with technological advancements accelerating at an unprecedented pace, many of them foretold by Kael, Elias knew the right time was approaching. The knowledge contained within those files was staggering. It included schematics for advanced energy generation, blueprints for medical breakthroughs that could cure diseases, and detailed analyses of future geopolitical landscapes. But it also contained Kael's stark warnings: the dangers of artificial intelligence without ethical constraints, the threat of unchecked surveillance, and the ultimate fragility of Earth's ecosystem. Elias realized the true power of Kael's story was not just in its predictive capacity, but in its cautionary tale. Kael wasn't just a time traveler. He was a living testament to the consequences of humanity's choices. His accidental journey was a desperate message from the future, pleading with the past to learn from its mistakes. The CIA had kept the case classified for 50 years, not just for strategic advantage, but also out of a profound fear of how humanity would react to such overwhelming knowledge. Would it lead to chaos, despair, or a reckless attempt to alter destiny? Or would it inspire a collective effort to build a better future? The decision to declassify, even in a limited, controlled manner, would be monumental. It would require careful planning, a slow drip of information, and the careful curation of Kael's narrative to ensure it served as a catalyst for positive change, rather than a harbinger of doom. Elias knew that the truth, when it finally emerged, would be both terrifying and inspiring. It would force humanity to confront its own potential for both destruction and redemption. As Elias closed the file, the silence in the room seemed to amplify the weight of Kael's half-century-old secret. The story of the time traveler was not just a historical anomaly. It was a living prophecy, a mirror reflecting humanity's possible futures. The choices made today, armed with the wisdom of tomorrow, would determine whether the future Kael had left behind would be avoided or tragically replayed. The most profound secret the CIA had ever kept wasn't just that time travel was possible, but what it revealed about the journey humanity was truly on. And now, the time had come to decide what to do with that extraordinary, terrifying, and ultimately hopeful truth. The future, it seemed, was still very much unwritten, but for the first time, humanity had a glimpse of the script.